Hello and welcome to The Huddle. Liam Santamaria back with you as this wild NBL season reaches or approaches a fascinating crescendo. Two massive battles taking place. The battle for top two with Sydney, Cairns and New Zealand involved. And then a whole bunch of teams, almost the rest of the league, battling it out to make sure they make that top six. And one team who is now well and truly back in that mix is Melbourne United. And joining me on the show today is their mid-season recruit who is killing it right now, Marcus Lee. The player of the round, really, of round 14. 22 points, 10 rebounds, 4 blocks in a really big game and a big win over Tasmania. So sit back, relax. Up next, Marcus Lee. Marcus, how you going, mate? Welcome to The Huddle.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm having a great day.
Happy New Year.
Oh, yeah.
What are you hoping for in 2023?
Yeah, Happy New Year. I think 2023 is just going to be an exciting year all around, just in everybody's life. Everybody's finally out of COVID. We're getting back to normality. So I'm just kind of excited seeing what the year has for us.
It's obviously the year's going to start in a very hectic way because this back end of the NBL season is full on. And as I mentioned off the top, you guys are right in the thick of things right now. How are you enjoying playing in the NBL a month or so into your time here?
I'm in love with it. The way everything's situated out here, the organization of NBL as a whole, and the way Melbourne brought me in, it's just I want to say it's probably the most ideal place you would want to be as a player when you come into a place mid-season. So I'm absolutely loving it, the way everything's happening right now.
What have been your sort of first impressions of the league? I'm sure you would have known about it to some extent prior to coming here. Obviously, your relationship with Isaac, but also just other guys haven't played in the league. How have your first impressions of the league maybe differed from what you knew about or thought about the league coming in?
So, I mean, I've seen quite a bit, because I've been friends with Isaac for a while, and knowing that they've been doing kind of their own revamp, trying to make their own starting over in a sense, and I think they've done a tremendous job. And just me being able to play in it and kind of see, they have everything figured out to a T, and that's kind of the biggest thing for a player is they understand travel. They have a players association set up, and then just as a team standpoint, Melbourne has a great staff that knows just everything that goes on, and they kind of are able to help you just guide you through the full season, which makes as a basketball player life easy.
Well, let me unpack a little bit of that. You spoke about how you came in mid-season. How did it come about? How did it get worked out behind the scenes? Obviously, you were playing in the ACB prior to coming here. Step us through the behind the scenes of how you went from there in Spain to landing at Tullamarine Airport.
It was a hectic moment going on in my head in Spain, to my agent in New York, to him out here in Australia. So one, just getting everybody on the same time zone to connect and try to figure things out. But went to Spain, loved playing in Spain. I mean, I've played in Europe quite a bit. But then things happen in basketball with teams. Guys go down, the roster changes just as it did here in Melbourne. And sometimes teams need different things. Over there, they really needed a 4-man. And that was kind of the way they were flowing towards, because they were kind of overstacked with 5 men after they kind of tried to reload things, and it was kind of the total opposite here. So it kind of worked out in my favor, but was kind of a funny moment because I couldn't talk to anybody about it, but Isaac was also talking to the team about it, so we were like secretly sending secret messages, like, do you trying to get hints of if each other knows about it so we can talk about it. So it's kind of just like secret messages like, hey, I see you guys are really needing another big. He's like, oh yeah, hopefully we get another one with like a smirky face. So like, it's fun. It's funny and fun the way that all went down, and it all had to go down in that one week of where no one's playing because of the fever break. So
Right.
I know it's very hectic for both teams and extremely hectic not knowing where you're going to go as a player or if you're going to stay. So it was a crazy time, but also, always have your bags packed, not knowing what was going to happen.
Isaac, your agent, did you speak to anybody else? Do you have anybody that you know well who's previously played in the league? Did you tap into anybody else?
I've had a couple friends that jumped in and out of Australia. I had a couple just friends that I know play out here. I just ask about it because I just jumped around about me coming out here, whether it was right now or in the beginning of the season with a different team, or you never know. As when during the American summer, you get a whole bunch of team names and you're researching all of them. So and asking all your friends about things, so you're not just going into a bad situation. But once I get here, you understand why a lot of guys come here and stay here.
Well, we'll tap into that a little bit later. Hey, you mentioned the Players Association. How quickly does that happen? How quickly do you get a phone call from Jacob or someone at the Players Association to kind of bring you into the fold?
So actually, I think it just happened to work out that we had a Players Association meeting. I want to say the second week I was here. So I was able to meet all of those guys fairly quickly. I guess it doesn't always work out that way, but like it was great just being able to like feel at ease when you have a Players Association. It's not you fighting against the whole league by yourself. It's good
Sure.
knowing that you have people behind you working for you that's also attached to the league.
We mentioned your relationship and friendship with Isaac. Tell us about that. Obviously, it stems from your time together at Kentucky, but you guys stay in pretty close contact between then and now, regular contact, or was it just kind of like tapping into an old friend?
I want to say it was a little bit of both. We went to school together and played together in college at Kentucky. We're pretty much all in the same best friend group. Like we did almost everything together. And then after leaving, going our separate ways in basketball life, that you keep in touch. You see them during basketball things like it's like summer league, or if you're not playing in summer, everybody goes to summer league, and you just hang out with each other. And then we had a friend, Derek Willis, get married, and he ended up singing at Derek Willis, and we were both in the bridal party. So it's good that all of our friends are still friends, so we can all keep up with each other and are constantly communicating. And the funny thing is, I followed the team because Isaac was on it, so I was already following along on social media and kind of just watching out for the team. So it was crazy the way things happened that I got to end up coming to the place that I was already following.
There you go. Did he throw your name into the mix, or
I would like to think so. I know for a fact if they did, or if when they did ask him, he was like, yes, we absolutely needed him.
Right.
It's great having a really great friend to be like, yeah, of course, like to be able to vouch for you.
And right about when you arrived, it was obviously an enormous time in his life. When he came out and spoke about his homosexuality and the life that he leads and wants to lead moving forward. What was that like for you, arriving in this brand new environment, joining a brand new team with a great mate who was experiencing probably just kind of like the biggest and most emotional kind of period of his life?
I kind of see things as you're always in the right moment at the right time for you, and I think it was the perfect moment for me to be here. It was exactly what that day of him announcing to the world and to the sports world. Because I think it was great because he was able to have somebody literally on the team, right next to him on a daily basis, that's been a supporter of him this whole time, and now it's something as big as this, and like, hey, now you can feel a little bit more at ease because you have somebody here. And I think that was the biggest feeling, is that, man, it's like, we're just like, it's crazy how that worked. And I'm like, I feel like it had to work that way. There was no other way. And I'm really happy it worked out that way, just so I can be here by his side for it.
All right, so you and Isaac got to know each other at Kentucky. You also got to know some other people at Kentucky that are massive names in the basketball world, and I'm keen to kind of tap into your experiences with some of them. What you can remember about being with them, being on that squad with them, your impressions of what they might become in the future, whether you knew some of them would become the stars that they did. But let's start with Coach Calipari. What was he like to play for?
It's one of the hardest things you will ever do in your life. And when I tell people that you have to be mentally, I guess, and you have to be more mentally strong than physically strong to deal with being at a place like Kentucky with a coach like Coach Cal, because one, he's pushing you to your absolute limit every single day at everything you do. It's not even just basketball, he's teaching you how to juggle life, juggle social media, juggle basketball, juggle school, juggle your own thoughts. And he's pushing you to do it all at a light speed type speed. Like, there is no time of learning. You have to learn while like running and trying to in a fast pace while being 18 years old, learning, you're living on your own, you're seeing girls, you're seeing that you finally can go to the bars, you can make your own decisions without anybody asking you any questions. So he's kind of that mentor of not just basketball, but in life, where he's trying to help you learn things and pick things up so quickly. Because he knows that in reality, half of the players are going to be a one and done, and you're making real time decisions with millions of dollars in your pocket. And at those times, those are real choices you have to make, and that's what he's trying to teach you to do. And so he is one of the hardest, not just coaches, but life teachers. And I think that's exactly what people need in that environment, because if not, you're going through absolute hell in like a foggy cloud where you can barely see your next two steps. And he's sitting there just guiding you through those next two steps, even though you can't see.
Wow, that's fascinating. I found it interesting to listen to you in the post-game presser the other day, and you were talking about one thing that you learned over the course of your basketball career was to enjoy yourself, was to find ways to enjoy being on the floor, being on the practice court, enjoy what you do on a daily basis. I wonder what's one of the things that Coach Cal taught you that has helped you and tooled you as you've grown into the man that you are and the professional that you are?
I actually pinpoint that to one day. I was struggling between being serious for basketball and finding that part where I can still have fun, and where it's too much fun where I'm not playing well, or I'm too serious and I'm stiff. And I think he noticed it like going through my head, and I'm just like not getting it right at all. And I was going through a fog in the basketball world and real life world. And he called me into his office, and he's like, "Hey, what's going on? I don't see your bubbliness." And that was the word he gave, was bubbly. And I'm like, that's funny, because that's something I've always kept on. I'm like, yeah, I'm actually a really bubbly. Like, I walk in and everybody's moods change because that's just the vibe I throw out. And I was like, and he was like, he put it easy. He's like, you play better when you're in that bubbly, great feeling, happy person mood. And I was like, that's where I need to find my balance. And that's what's really going to affect my game, is when I'm happy and enjoying basketball and just happily flowing through basketball life, that's when I play the best. And that's what you see here, is I'm celebrating CG's threes, I'm dancing, I'm singing on the court. And that's
right.
Most of other people, older people that are playing in the basketball world, they're like, oh, he's not focused, he's in his own bubble world. But I'm like, that's how I focus into basketball. It's I have to enjoy what I'm doing for me to that's my whole self. And that's what you have to do, is learn how to put your whole self into basketball.
Love that, because it speaks to, people often equate coaching with teaching, right? Like the experience of teachers working with students in a classroom and coaches working with athletes in a team. And one of the great things that's happened in the teaching world over, the last bunch of decades is a bit more of a focus on working to the individual. Like instead of just writing it on the blackboard and everybody just following and everybody doing the same thing, it's like, what makes that particular person tick? Who are they, and what are their strengths and their weaknesses, and how can they be at their best? And the same thing happens in a basketball team or any professional sports team. And that's fascinating to hear Coach Cal, a really practical example of him doing that. He knows what your personality is and how you need to be behaving to be at your best, and his ability to kind of like tap directly into that is fascinating.
For sure. Yeah, I think I definitely give my applause to all coaches that figure that out, because it's not just, X's and O's and how to sub people in at the right time, or, plays. It's learning each player, learning what drives them, how do I make them tick when I need them to tick? How do I calm them down, and who can play with who? And there's just so much more to coaching that people don't understand nor see in real life. That I've seen a lot of great coaches. That's what makes good and great coach. That's the big difference right there, is how they can manage different personalities.
All right. Speaking of different personalities, when you were a freshman, you played with Julius Randle. What are your memories and impressions of being a teammate of him?
It's funny because I played against him growing up, just before college. So when he's in basketball mode, he's 100% serious. There's no he'll joke around and with us, but like when you're playing against him, he's just he knows exactly what he's doing. He's focused on what he's doing, and that's it. But when you get him off the court and he starts relaxing with you, then you see a totally different person that really just he's able to juggle things so well, where he's able to all right, no, I'm in basketball mode, but once basketball mode's off and once he steps on the court, he's like, cool, now I'm in family mode, now I'm in friend mode, and he's able to just switch those things on and off so perfectly. I mean, and you see that when you look at his social media, it's basketball, 100% focus on basketball, working out. Then you see his family life, and it's he gives 100% on everything, and that's one thing that you can definitely see when watching him play, when watching him in his daily life. He does everything 100% all the time, and he's going, and that's how he's able to do it. And I can remember, because that's a hard thing to do, especially in a world of basketball, everybody's coming at you at once, and it's unreal how he's been able to do that.
All right, as a sophomore, you play with Devin Booker and Karl Anthony Towns, who have gone on to become absolute superstars in the NBA. Did you know each of those guys were going to become what they are?
Oh, of course, because they told us every day. Karl Anthony is a character in himself that will let you know every day once he walks into the gym, hey, no, I'm the number one pick. I'm the best player. And it's not in a dickhead way. It's not in like a snooty way. It's in his naturally funny, honest way. And that's what I really love about him, is just he's really one of those people that are just he's just a naturally confident person. And I love it. It's one of a kind. At one point, Coach Cal's at one point we were watching something, and coach was like, hey, you got to stop shooting so many threes, and let's give each of the post. And then after practice ends, he's sitting there shooting threes. And in our gym, it's different. So in our gym, it's like our gym level, and then above it is our coach's office. And in the corner, It's just all windows. In the corner is Coach Cal's office. He's shooting on the gun, or not on the gun, shooting with a manager rebounding, screaming in Coach Cal's office. Oh, I can't shoot? I'm not allowed to be a shooter? Okay, they're all going in and in and in, reeling off 20, 15 in a row in different spots. And Coach Cal just has to hear it. His window's open. He's hearing it. At one point, he's watching, and it's a person you can't really tell you can't tell him what he can and can't do. And
wow,
Devin Booker's on the flip hand is just so, I want to say, competitive. and you see it in everything. Where even like little things. We were playing pickup, where guys come from all different NBA teams. They're coming for the summer. We just all play like a free pickup game. And I want to say, who was it? DeMarcus Cousins. DeMarcus comes play, and they get into it. I'm on D-Book's team. They talk about they stop the play over a travel or something that's irrelevant. Has nothing to do with it. Boogie comes here and tries to like just punk him. Like, no, this is my ball. Our team's going. Demba didn't stand down. Then you see little Tyler Eulis coming over, like, and they're about to just fight. I'm like, you guys are 8 feet or 8 inches shorter than him, but both him and Tyler act like they're the biggest person in the world, and that's how they play. Right. They play like pit bulls, and I feel like you always need those type of players on a team, on a great team.
Okay, D-Book hadn't just been double teamed in that just situation, had he? You know, he doesn't like being double teamed.
He hates it. He hates it so much. We would do it so much. So they would do it so often. At one point, it was the Harrison twins and D-Book and Tyler Eulis, and they would go at it all the time because if I was on the Harrison twins, we'd always send the double team, especially if he was in like a post up situation.
Right.
And he's like, "Why are we sending sending 2 on like when we're playing pickup?" I'm like, "Well, we're trying to win. We don't care about learning anything. We want to win the game." And he would hate it.
All right, hey, I've got 2 more names for you. One from your junior year at Kentucky, and one from your one and only year at Cal. Jamal Murray as a Kentucky Wildcat. What do you remember about playing with him?
He's one of those guys that's like me, where he plays better when he's in a goofy mood. Like when he's enjoying life, playing basketball with a smile on his face. But then he's also one of those guys where if you hit him hard on a screen or someone start cussing him out and you see that straight face, that's when he's going to put up 40. And you're like, oh, that's our fault. We did that to ourselves. But he's also one of those guys that's in our friend group of me, Isaac, Mike Mulder, and a couple of, and we just, when we come together, we're all coming together, and we always know, like, we're always around each other. Like a couple, I want to say 2 years ago, I went to go visit him, and it's like nothing changes every time one of us sees each other, and those are all the best times because we've always been so close together, and it's always off. It's never been about basketball. Basketball brought us together, but I guess our friendship kept us together, and that's that's the best thing about us.
Nice. All right, your one and done season at Cal. You had a teammate who's now in the NBL. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, my other Aussie.
That's right.
Yeah, it was great because I was able to see him twice in almost like a week, and I was shocked that I saw him actually. So
for the listeners and the viewers, we're talking about Grant Anticevich from the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix.
My young Grant, he was a freshman when I came in, so he was really young compared to where he is now. And I saw him like on the corner of my eye while I was starting to warm up, and I was like, I know this kid. And I turn around to get a full look, and it's Grant. I totally neglect warm-ups and literally just sprint at him. And he's like, who the hell is on me right now? He turns around and sees this huge black guy, and he's like, oh, it's Mark. Like, it's one of those times where you're just so happy to see people because Grant was a young freshman coming from Australia. So I was the 5th year super old basketball player at that point in college. So it was kind of just more of me giving knowledge to him. And, it's always old when you have an older guy around you, but it was never like that. We were always able to be around each other and kind of enjoy each other's time while I could also like teach and run things through him. And I really do think he's going to make a huge impact here as long as he's staying in this league. And it's scary because I've seen him play against me in practices, and I'm like, the things he does sometimes is just terrifying. And I'm like, how does he pull stuff like? He's like a younger Isaac, essentially.
Yeah. No, I think he's got a bright future. Speaking of enjoying time, you guys, your fans, are enjoying this time right now because all of a sudden you've won 5 of your last 6 and you are knocking on the door now of that top 6. You're one game off getting back to 500. And it's been a remarkable turnaround. And you're arguably if not the form team in the competition right now. What do you feel like? And it's hard for you because you weren't there early on when the team lost a whole bunch of games, but you are on the floor experiencing it. What do you feel like is working and clicking for you guys right now?
It's funny because it's nothing basketball-wise that helps us click. It's kind of just like we finally have all the pieces, and you can finally see the beautiful picture. It's hard when sometimes when people bring teams together, like, all right, you know what, this one didn't work. We're just not playing well together. This team plays well together almost immediately. From day one, when we had me back, Barlow came back from his concussion, and Shelley came back. And then we had me, CG. It turned into an unreal game. We're really just like, all right, what works that day? And then it might change in the next 4 minutes. We're like, all right, cool. Well, as CJ comes down, hey, pin downs are not working anymore. Cool. Flip to the next thing. And that's what's great about this team is we're able to run through just about anybody on our roster and kind of let them lead us. Where it be streaks where the first quarter, CG was 0 for 4, 1 for 4, and we're tied. And that's only because we're running through other people. He's playing his role perfectly, and then it goes to the third quarter. He goes 4 for 4, because it's hard to guard. You can't guard 5 players at the same time. You have to focus on your 2 key players, but we don't have 2 key players to focus on here. You really have to go through our full 9, 8, 10 man roster to get a good look on how we're going to play each day.
You are an elite screener and an elite lob threat on the roll to the rim. What is it about X and his skill set that made you guys click so well so quickly?
I think it's just the ability to trust. I think the first thing I do with all guards that I ever have is I try to force them to make turnovers with the lob. And usually you have a preseason to do it, but here I had a shoot around to do it, essentially. And I walk in, I'm like, hey, throw it anywhere in this gym and I'll catch it. And it worked the first time. And he was like, okay, cool, now I understand. But it's his ability to actually get downhill, create for himself, because now they have to focus on him, and then it's just picking your poison at that point. And it's just great to have guards that are able to be calm in the lane and kind of be able to see everything and understand each step like a quarterback. And they do that so well, and it makes my job easy. All I have to do is jump and catch the ball. Mm-hmm. They have to make game time decisions on the fly with like 10 chess pieces happening, where I'm just like, la la la. Oh, look, there's the ball. Cool. I guess I'm jumping. If not, I'm like, oh well, look, that's a great shot. But like, I have the easy job, and they make me look so easy.
Shilly started to throw that pass now.
Oh yeah,
he's got that now.
Yeah, you definitely, especially in the last game, you see how much he trusted me. Where I'm telling them, if you guys get in a bind, look, just throw it in the air. And you saw that where he's throwing, and he just throws it behind his back, and he's just like, oh, I hope it gets to him, and he trusts me to go get it. And I know it's my job to go do it to make sure, one, he doesn't get a turnover, because I know once a guard gets a turnover, they stop throwing passes.
That's right.
But also, I would love them to trust me to do that, because that's my job.
Well, you speak about going and getting it. Who threw that one that you had to reach right back? Was it in Brisbane?
It was in Brisbane. Transition? Yeah, it was X.
Who threw that?
X. Absolutely a terrible pass. But,
come on, man.
Oh, but
there's throwing it anywhere, and then there's that.
Yeah, but I'm still kind of upset at the league for not putting that in top 10. But
it wasn't in the top 10.
No, it wasn't in the top 10.
What?
Yeah. They're not cool with me over there. I don't know what it is. We have beef somehow.
I'll have words.
But no, but that's the thing. I love that the trust in, if you want to throw some flair in there, but trust that I will go catch it, because they get mad as that happened, and then at the end of the game, Tucker threw the easiest lob I had to catch, and I missed that one.
And you missed it.
And so I was the butt of of the jokes all week because of that. But
You are playing so well right now and having such a big impact. I had an MVP, a former MVP of the league, message me late last night about your net rating. And I was like, Ruck, hey, I'm speaking to the man tomorrow. I'll let him know. But the advanced numbers, like Melbourne United just put these out. Since December 10, number one in net rating, a ridiculous 50.6. Because you're number one in offensive rating, you're number one in defensive rating, you're number one in PR, number one in block percentage, and number one in offensive rebound percentage. Now, I quoted the raw numbers from what you put up the other day, the counting stats, 22, 10, and 4. But have you always been an advanced stat darling?
I mean, offensively, it's very easy. I catch lobs, I do hook shots, and and I do floaters. That's kind of the extent of my because you need to know how you score efficiently.
Right.
And as a big man, you have to score really efficient because you don't get very many touches. So you have to put those. So that's something I've really tried to perfect. Is how do I perfect this floater? How do I perfect all these hook shots? So if I do get those chances, I know I can trust. I know they're going in, and that's where the kind of efficiency is I know if I get the ball, I might not get it again, and I need to put I need my team to trust that I can do something to kind of put the fire out sometimes, because that's usually what happens when the ball goes into the post, or like I get a pass in the paint. It's in the shot clock. You gotta put the fire out, and I know that I'm such a high percentage that it helps the team it puts the team at ease at sometimes, and that's kind of my only job, is to help the team out any possible way. Give my team a break for a second. Moment or an energy boost with a lob, and that's kind of the only job. And with lobs, it's literally just I've told everybody about this. This is it. I jump in the air. The goal is to catch the ball and then figure it out in the air. That's it. Like I have no plans besides going to jump and catch the ball. Like some of these dunks are. I'm like, I don't know. I assume like when you look back and you zoom in, my eyes are closed. Like I'm literally just hoping for the best, and it works out sometimes. But
I'm literally hoping for the best.
But sometimes it looks ugly and it doesn't work out at all. But here hasn't seen very many of those. But
okay. Hey, a couple of quick ones just to finish off. I think 15 and 13 is going to get you in. I think if you're 14 and 14, you're probably going to miss out, whether it's you or Perth or Adelaide or some team. I think now you've got to win 4 of your last 5 to hit that mark. Mm-hmm. What's the kind of mentality and feel within the team? Is there a confidence that you guys are going to that you could get that done?
We're extremely confident. Right now, we're only looking and talking like we're a playoff team. There is no if, ands, or buts about it. And I love that. Dean's been really good about really expressing that to us and be like, no, we're playing like we're a playoff team because that's who we are. And we're going to go in. But right now we're still playing like you should, brick by brick, game by game, practice by practice. So today we had a full practice, and that's what we did. We focused on the practice and what we had ahead of us. And right now we're getting ready to go to a game where it's going to be a really hard game. They're a great, solid team. And we really need to focus and play our game, and really, if we can get this one, then we'll worry about the next one, and then after that next one, then we'll worry about the next one, and that's how you should play. You don't need to worry about 5 games because today doesn't affect those 5 games. It's when that day happens, you worry about that day, and that's what we're doing here.
Before I caught a game with him recently, and we're chatting about in the kind of green room about the permutations, who sits where, who's going to make it. He was like, Liam, we're in. Like, you should make sure we're making it.
Yeah, see, and that's how our mindset is, from our players to our coaching staff to our staff that do the day-to-day that make us survive, to our families. Our whole mentality is like, no, we're in. It's just telling the rest of the world we're in, because we've also seen people already count us out, and I was only 2 weeks in, and I'm just like, no, you guys don't understand. You guys are counting out the team that started the season that was not full, not ready, all hurt, not trying to figure themselves out. Now, this is a whole different team here. You guys have now, these past 5 games, you guys have seen the new team where people were like, that's a scary team. If we saw a full season team, this is a whole different ball game.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier that you get a sense already from coming into this league and coming into this country and the surrounds and the people why so many players come here and want to stay here. You started to think maybe that's something you'd like to do moving into next season and beyond?
I try not to think about that, but like I enjoy it so much here. I've noticed just the load off of my back, and immediately once I touched down here, I felt a moment once I got here. And if it's a possibility, if I'm asked or even it even gets brought up after the season, I would love to. But right now, it has no effect on me right now. We have goals that I really have to focus on in these next, month and a half. We're in January, so a month. So there is no time to actually like fantasize about things like that. I'm trying to fantasize about, all right, how do I get this team to the playoffs? What do I have to do to help my team? And that's it. And that's all I have to think about each day.
Well, it's not all that the club needs to think about. I'm telling you right now, that Melbourne's going to need to move swiftly when all is said and done to keep you around. But that's for then. This is the now, and you guys are rolling. And good luck, mate. Good luck in this last little stretch, achieving what you guys are setting out to achieve. And welcome to the league. We're loving having you here.
Thank you. I definitely do love it here, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Thanks, man.
Thanks.
Cheers.